flag ready because I know the supervisor wanted to do the pledge. So,
Well, that's it should be expected. Oh,
Yes.
speaking of the supervisor, there he is.
oh, he's connecting to audio. There he is. I'm going to unmute the supervisor and welcome aboard, supervisor.
Thank you. Hi, Mary. Hi, Mike.
Hello.
Hey, what's up?
Supervisor.
Hello, Mr. Supervisor. How are you?
We got Sal on now. We got Dominic Pasculo on. Tommy Jones, Max Stack. Looking good.
I'm going to unmute Max. Max, you're unmuted, so when you come on, you'll be ready. Sal will be on in a second. He's just connecting to audio.
Max,
Hello.
how we doing, Max?
Good. How are you?
Good.
Hello, Max.
So we're waiting for Rick, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
And supervisor, if you wanted, what's that?
I don't see Sal on and
Sal says connecting to audio, so he hasn't connected yet. He might be dialing up. I'm not sure.
Oh, geez.
Yeah, getting to see what all these little buttons mean here.
Yeah, so you should have. You on a laptop or a PC?
Yes, laptop.
Yeah, so you should have like some options, like the participants. You should be able to see. There is a chat. Just so you know, the chat window will only, for anybody listening or online, if you send a chat message, only I will see it. And likewise, I can respond. So there isn't like a public chat right now.
Okay.
Sal, you're still not connected to audio. I'm not sure why. It says you're connecting to audio.
Can you hear us, Sal? Sal, give us a thumbs up if you can hear us.
Yeah, so
I thought this was bring your dog to the town board meeting day here. So
Yeah.
I'm waiting to see if my cat jumps up in my lap, so it might be cat and dog.
But Finn would just want to get his licks in before he throw him out of the bedroom.
No.
Right?
all right, wait, now Sal's on. He connected.
There's
Sal,
Sal.
you're on now.
What up?
All right. Goodbye.
So we're just waiting for Rick Colon. We have the supervisor, Councilwoman Bingham, Councilman McGinn, Councilman Scancarello, and we are just awaiting Councilman Colon. We also have the town clerk, the town planner. Sorry, my wires are all tied up here. All right.
Nugent, a lot of Spartan race medals there, buddy. Good
You
job.
like that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
Got a couple of beasts in there, you know.
Councilman McGinn, how are you? How you feeling?
good. I'm getting better, Sal. How are you, sir?
Good, sir. Good. How's Supervisor Cardone doing?
Supervisor Cardone is good. It was a very, very trying day. Very trying day. A lot going on.
Been a crazy week here.
Yeah, for everyone,
Yes.
not just me. I mean,
Hey, Max, if you can hear me. Oh, you're unmuted now, Max. All right, you're good. Yeah, so if you guys mute yourself, the board members, just let me know, because I think I have to then unmute you if you happen to mute yourselves during the meeting.
Okay.
Who
are we just waiting on, Councilman?
There is our wonderful town clerk I see appearing. She is coming online.
with the halo above her head.
All right, I'm going to unmute the town clerk, so she is now able to speak.
Madam Clerk, can you hear us?
I am here.
All right, excellent.
There she is. Oh, yeah, she does have a halo.
Yeah, I'm gonna turn that light off, but I'm gonna show you the new deputy for the town. He's right there. He's been with me all day working.
Oh, my God.
Supervisor, has anybody spoken to Rick?
No, I'll text him now. See what
I
the
did
deal
speak
is.
to Rick and told him how to get on, so.
Is Rick tech savvy?
Yeah, but I spoke to him this morning. He said he would join us. I'm not sure if that phone number is his. Let me just check.
I believe we have our recreation director coming online now, too.
Oh.
Definitely mute her.
Oh.
Whoa.
Definitely mute her. Until public comment, of course.
I've now unmuted Anne Marie, so she can respond to you.
Hey, Tony,
Hey, Rick, are you getting on?
I'm trying to get on this thing. Did Sal get on?
Everybody's on.
We're all on.
I'm still trying.
You gotta click on Zoom, and then you gotta enter the password if you're not directly on the on a computer.
Is he on a PC or a phone?
What do you got, a PC, right, Rick?
Yeah, I got it. I should have it.
There is like a little installation you might have to do if he's doing it on a PC.
You installed Zoom prior to getting on?
I installed Zoom. I put my password on.
All right.
Launch meeting.
Yeah, and then launch audio.
All right, for those of you on the phone, we have about 20 people on right now. So we're just waiting for one town board member to join us.
You hear me yet?
No. You called in?
Oh, if he called in, I have to unmute him. Did he call in or is he
Wait, hold
going?
on.
I'm trying to.
No, he didn't call in.
If we have four, if worse comes to worse, he can call in and we can put him on phone.
I think you should have me in there. You have me on.
He's saying he should be on there, Brian.
Is he on the phone though or on a PC?
I'm on a PC.
He's on a PC.
All right, let me just see if I see him anywhere. Does he know the name of what he logged in as? I don't see a video, but I could still unmute him if I know. We got Dominic, Steve, Mark, M-A-T-T-E-S. Does he have a name on his screen, Supervisor? Ask him.
Do you have a name on the screen? On your screen, Rick?
It has my picture now.
Are you in the right chat? You sure you're not in the town of Monroe in Oregon?
NY, baby, NY.
If he's logged in, there should be a name on his screen that he's logged in as. Does he see
Yeah.
any of us?
It says Richard Colon.
Yeah, but do you see any of us?
No.
And he's not logged in.
All right, Rick, I gotta get this started. You're gonna have to call in.
Let's give him the number and he can call it.
What's the number, Brian?
Hang on one sec. Okay, so the phone number is, you ready?
Yeah,
It's going to be 929
929
205
205
6099.
6099.
And just
905-6099.
Yes.
And I'll call in. I'll go in on the phone then.
All
just
right.
tell me the last four digits of his number so I'll know it's him.
Okay. All right. Bye-bye.
Bye.
It's Brian, it's either 9667 or I don't know which phone he's calling in on. I'm gonna say it's the 96671 one. Or it is 7270.
All right. We have Mr. Bickle coming in. Oh, sorry, Anne-Marie. I got you. Unmuted.
No, she looks muted now.
I know. I just clicked on it, though. She should be able to unmute
Yeah,
now.
now she is.
Oh, thank
Lowering
God.
her hand.
Thank God.
Heard that, Mike.
Oh, geez. I thought I was still muted. I'm sorry.
Oh, I miss everybody.
Oh, boy. This is an interesting It's fine for sure.
This is great. Are you kidding?
Supervisor, oh wait, somebody just came in. What did you say, 9667? Was that one of the? All right, so let me unmute him.
That might be Rick.
Mr. Cologne, you can hear me?
Loud and clear there.
Okay,
Right,
so
Brian,
you're in by phone then.
I am in by phone. Sorry
Okay.
to say, I'm still trying to get this thing done, but we'll see.
Supervisor, did you want to do the pledge or anything?
Yeah, I have a flag. You got the flag? All right,
I
good.
got the flag. We're all
Oh,
I
good.
got mine waving behind me too.
All
on
right,
TV.
ready? I pledge allegiance
To the flag,
flag
Flag.
United States of America and to the republic
Which it
which
stands.
Stand.
one nation,
One
nation,
God,
God,
indivisible,
Visible.
with liberty,
justice.
Justice
And
for all.
Well,
all right.
All right.
So we have the
okay.
meeting started. Just let me say for everybody on the phone, we have all the board members, Councilman Scancarello, Councilwoman Bingham, Supervisor Cardone, and Councilman McGinn by video. And Councilman Rick Cologne is in by telephone. We have 23 people online right now in the meeting. We will at some point have public comment, so I'll be able to unmute you. I will probably call you by the name that's showing up or the last 4 digits of your phone number when the time comes. And with that, I will turn it back over to the supervisor.
Okay, good evening, everyone. I'd like to welcome you to the March 25th Town Board meeting. We have a few items on the agenda aside from our setting our public hearing, and a couple of announcements beforehand. This afternoon, Orange County confirmed that there's over 600 cases of COVID-19 in the county. They are not specific as to where those areas are, but there are 3 hotspots in the county. They were not telling us where they were because the state came down and asked every county to pull off which town's numbers, what each town's numbers were. I want to give a shout out to our dial bus crew and Don Pasculo. He's on today. They delivered approximately 80 meals, had 80 deliveries of food today to various households in the Monroe, Woodbury area. They did it through Sacred Heart and the Journey Church. So great shout out to our dial-a-bus drivers as well as Don Pasculo. Great job.
Great work. Great work.
Again, all town buildings are currently closed through the end of this week. We are hoping to open them next week as long as the restrictions from the state are lifted. We do have some workers in, those are who are essential, such as our water department. And there's the town clerk has been in a couple of times, as well as our finance department, which had to cut checks this week, and that's essential. Okay, so without any further ado, I just have to get onto my agenda here. My apologies. Right.
I think you got to open the meeting, sir.
Motion to open the meeting.
So I need a motion to open the meeting.
I will make that motion.
Make the motion.
I'll second it.
Make the motion.
Okay, Cologne the motion, seconded by Councilwoman Bingham. All those, call the question.
Bingham, aye.
Cologne, aye.
Cardone, aye.
Begin I. Oh, I tried out at the end. Sorry.
Okay. All right. So we're going to have a presentation from Max Stack, who is our planner, on the draft generic environmental impact statement, the DGEIS, and the conservation cluster regarding the floating zone in the residential area. Max, go ahead. It's all yours.
Max, you should have a screen share on now, so when you need to do that, you're all set.
All right, I'll get that going right now. Let's see. How's that?
Yeah, it's coming up now, and we have it. So Max, just keep in mind we have a few people on the telephone, so to the extent possible, just remember some people are just listening and not seeing.
Okay, I will go through this thoroughly then. Tonight is the DGEIS public hearing on the Conservation Cluster Residential Floating Zone Text Amendment. This is, let's see if this is going to work. Okay. So tonight is really a continuation of a process that began in September 23rd of 2019 when the town board adopted an EAF, a positive declaration, and distributed a draft scope assessing the potential environmental impacts of the proposed Conservation Cluster Residential zoning amendment. This action established that the proposed amendments could impact the environment. And given that there is no specific project proposed at this time, a generic EIS was required rather than a site-specific EIS to consider a conceptual application under that CCR zoning amendment. A scoping hearing was then conducted on October 7th of 2019. And that scoping hearing queried the public on what type of information should be provided in a DGEIS that would be intended to assess environmental impacts. We received extensive public comment on that draft scope, and we either modified the scope according to that draft or according to that comment, or we addressed why the scope was not being amended according to the comments in that final scope. And that final scope was adopted on November 25th of 2019. Since that date, my firm has been working extensively to assemble information, develop a concept plan, and assess the impacts of that concept plan based on the requirements of the CCR. We had submitted a preliminary DGIS in the beginning of February of this year, 2020. The town board looked that over, had some questions, required some changes, and finally deemed the DGEIS adequate for public and agency review back on March 2nd of 2020. Now, at this point, this CCR is a zoning amendment. There's no application, there's no developer, there's no project directly in mind here. However, we wanted to be as inclusive as possible in identifying the types of agencies that might be involved if an application is to proceed in the future. So we actually mailed that DGEIS to a number of what are known as interested agencies, which don't have any approval authority, but they might be interested in that law. And that included DEC and the health department, the county health department, county DPW, the sewer, the villages of Harriman and Monroe, Curious Joel, Palm Tree, Blooming Grove, Warwick, Tuxedo, all of the surrounding communities, if I didn't mention any of them, Woodbury, Chester, and those were all mailed notices of how they could receive a copy of the DGEIS, or they were mailed digital copies on thumb drive, or they were mailed paper copies on thumb drive. Tonight is the next part of the seeker hearing. Following tonight, I guess this is a good point to just state that it is our understanding that the intention of the town board will be to continue the public hearing and extend the comment period in light of
Yes.
What's happening.
Yeah, we definitely intend to extend it so that the public can appear in person and comment once the restrictions are lifted.
So that's probably a matter that we want to get to by the end of tonight's meeting. But the original comment period was supposed to run through April 6th. So there'll be at least that amount of time to submit written comments, and the town board will go over if there'll be a continuation of this public hearing, when that will occur, and when that written comment period will be continued to. Additionally, after tonight, after we've heard all the comments from the public tonight, and we receive all the written comments of those interested agencies, a final generic environmental impact statement will be prepared that addresses all of those questions and comments in detail. That is anticipated sometime in May or June of this year. At least 10 days following that adoption of an FGEIS, the town board will then make its findings on whether there will be significant adverse impacts, whether those will be adequately mitigated, and whether the project will be, or the zoning will be approved or denied. That is where this particular seeker process will end, and the town will possibly adopt the CCR zoning. It's again, we want to stress there's no developer, there's no application here. So what happens after this process is at some point, it's envisioned that a developer will seek to submit an application under the CCR provisions. That will begin with an application to the town board at some future date. The town board will then have to review that application based on the standards in the CCR and decide whether or not to land the floating zone or amend the map to allow a conceptual development under the provisions of the CCR. Additionally, once that zoning is mapped and landed, the applicant would still have to go to the planning board and receive site plan approval as well. Both that process in the future before the town board and the site plan application in the future will require public hearings. So there will be opportunities to additionally comment on site-specific applications as they're submitted. Those future site-specific or site-specific applications will likely be the subject of a site-specific EIS. And the reason why I say likely is there's one exception, and that is a application for the test case that was considered in the DGEIS, as long as it adheres to the thresholds that are established in the DGEIS, would be exempt from having to do a future site-specific EIS. That is not to say they wouldn't still have to go through that process before the town board and the planning board. There just wouldn't be the additional requirement of a EIS, site-specific EIS. So the purpose of tonight's meeting is to gather comment on the DGEIS for the Conservation Cluster Residential Floating Zone, and to get comments on the environmental impacts that the CCR could result in. The DGEIS has been distributed to all the agencies, as we discussed previously, and it's been available for public review on the town website, in the Monroe Library, and at the village clerk's office. Tonight's meeting is not a question and answer session. The comments and questions that the public provide tonight will be considered in depth and responded to in the FGEIS. And that is a process that is required by seeker. So it is not appropriate to answer even short questions tonight. I believe there's a standard public hearing rules that the town board has. Mr. Supervisor, if you'll go over them at some point regarding time limits and repetition of comments and so forth.
Yes.
So we start out and talk about what areas of the town are eligible for rezoning to CCR. And this map, as you see here, shows essentially, 5 areas around the villages that might be eligible for rezoning. The eligibility requirements are that the tract be at least 80 plus acres, at least 40 of which are within a half mile of one of the villages. This zoning is intended to promote sustainable development, and sustainable development focus future development near existing settlement patterns. So it doesn't make sense to promote this zoning in the outlying reaches of the town. It makes sense to focus it where there's already roads and infrastructure. No more than 8 lots can comprise a tract. So when you look at the requirement to have at least 80 acres, the requirement that the assembly be no more than 8 lots, and that all residential structures be within a half mile of the villages, it eliminates a large part of the town. And the areas shown on this map in blue, and for those who are calling in, this map is actually in the DGEIS that you can view on the town website or at the library at the clerk's office. So this shows you the villages outlined in red. Let me see if I can get my dot laser pointer here. So this line here is a 1/2 mile buffer around the village of Monroe and the village of Harriman. And these blue areas here are tracts that we believe meet the requirements of the CCR.
Max, just to be clear, they showed up as white on our screen.
These areas here are showing up as white?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, it's, on the map itself, if you look in the document, they'll be very light blue.
Okay.
So what does the draft CCR floating zone amendment do? It allows for a mix of residential development within half a mile of the villages at 2 units per acre. And this is approximately similar to the SR20 zoning district. It utilizes significant clustering as a means of establishing a growth edge. The idea here is that you would leave, and it actually requires that you leave 65% of the lot as open space. This is intended to discourage a sprawl development pattern where you're putting uniform lots across a very large parcel. It requires 15% housing for seniors, 20% workforce housing, and it allows for a wider variety of housing types, including townhouses, apartments, assisted living, in addition to single-family detached, attached, and semi-attached residences. Additionally, it allows limited non-residential development. The only sizable non-residential development would be a hotel and conference center, but it also allows 5% of floor area to be devoted to accessory retail, restaurants, and these are intended to be small establishments, that might be at a clubhouse or, part of a senior living facility. The CCR floating zone amendment requires buffers from any existing surrounding lands, from any property line. It requires submission of elevations and architectural review as part of the application. So the town board will understand what the buildings will look like before it decides whether or not to grant the zoning. It requires a referral to the planning board and advice of the planning board to the town board. It requires central sewer and water. It requires the submission of a traffic study and a fiscal impact study so that the town board is aware of the potential traffic and fiscal impacts prior to granting or denying that zoning petition. 2 key elements are that the Development cannot exceed an average of 2.25 bedrooms per unit, and no more than 20% can have more than 3 bedrooms. We talked about that element previously. So going through this zoning and considering the impacts that it was likely to have, you know, a long analysis was conducted, and the DGEIS is a fairly large document. You can go through that document and you can understand the reasoning behind all the assessments of whether impacts are likely to occur, and if they do occur, what type of mitigations are necessary. And it's good to say at this point that the environmental impact assess impacts based on a test case. So we talked about all the lands around the town that would be eligible for a CCR. In order to try and figure out what type of impacts might occur as part of an actual application, a tract, test case tract was used, known as the Rye Hill Road tract, and a conceptual development was provided showing how that area could be developed under the CCR, and then the impact analysis was conducted of that particular development, in addition to the generic consideration of a broader town-wide impact. So based on those considerations, the DGEIS recommends several mitigations be incorporated. The first of which, and that we'll discuss here, are intended to prevent impacts to community character. And in going through the CCR and the potential impacts, it was determined and recommended that a maximum building height of 40 feet be added. A maximum site-wide floor area ratio of 0.07 be added. And that's a fairly complex requirement, but to put a rule of thumb on here, if you have a minimum size of an 80-acre tract, that would allow 160 units under the CCR, but the average of those units couldn't exceed 1,524 square feet per unit. So it gives you an idea of the size of what we're looking for with the CCR. Additionally, maximum floor area per unit were also established, so that this is a restriction. I think there was some fear that people could come in and say they're building a 4-bedroom home and then build a 5,000 square foot structure and have dens and playrooms and other units or rooms there. So we actually went in and we are recommending a maximum floor area per unit as well. And by example, a 4-bedroom single-family detached home could not exceed 2,700 square feet. A 2-bedroom townhouse could not exceed 1,500 square feet. And a 2-bedroom apartment could not exceed 1,150 square feet. Lastly, in assessing development of the test case site, we determined there were several additional thresholds and mitigations that should be incorporated in order to relieve that future test case site of having to do a future EIS, site-specific EIS. One is to avoid impacts to the limestone woodland. That is the rarest ecological habitat that happens to exist on the test case parcels. And that habitat is right about here, which corresponds to, this is Orange Turnpike here coming around. This is Prestwick Drive. I believe this is that, there's a pond right here, and that limestone woodland would be back in this area of the site here. Additionally, a 4-way stop sign would have to be added to the corner of Reynolds Mine Road and Rye Hill Road. That would actually not only mitigate impacts from traffic from this development, but would actually increase the level of services on certain traffic approaches, even under or improve them beyond current operating conditions. Additionally, in order to not have to do a site-specific EIS in the future, the development would have to conform with all CCR provisions, could not exceed 491 units, would have to be constructed within 5 years from adoption of the CCR, could not disturb any wetlands, would have to be a town-approved water district, would have to update the National Heritage Program response, which would indicate if there are any new species that were discovered in the area that are of concern. And lastly, no tree cutting could occur between April 1st and October 31st. So this was essentially the analysis that was compared, a very short summary of the analysis conducted in the DGEIS. Again, it's a voluminous document and there's a lot of information in there, and I recommend everybody go in there to understand the possible impacts and rationale for determining whether or not something significant could occur. And if there are any additional questions or comments beyond tonight, those can be submitted in writing to the town clerk. So with that, Mr. Supervisor, I'm gonna go ahead and turn it back over to you.
Okay, well done, Max. Thank you very much for that great analysis and presentation.
Yeah, hey, Max, I just have one quick question there. I think one of the other things that we had discussed was that it shouldn't be transferable. So on top of you had to build it out in 5 years and all the other restrictions that were built in there, it couldn't be transferable from the from the applicant, who then has that floating zone approved by the town board. Is that just something that we've missed over, or?
Well, yeah. So I'm trying to. I'm sorry if I'm distracted because I'm trying to figure out how to get back onto video here, but that's not that important. I think I know here. Stop share. That's what I got to do, right?
There you go.
All right.
There you go.
Okay. So the question was, what would keep somebody from not building and then selling the property after they get the zoning to somebody else?
Right.
And the answer to that is that the way this zoning process works is you're not approving standard zoning that says you can build any, project you want. You're requiring the developer to show you exactly the development they're looking to build. So they have to submit a conceptual plan to the town board, architecturals, a breakdown of units, a breakdown of sizes.
Max, hold on 1 second. Hey, Jeff Manson, your camera phone is on. Okay, go ahead, Max. Sorry.
Okay. So you have to basically show the town board the exact development that you want to build, and that's what gets approved. So the zoning is based on the development. So if somebody wanted to sell that, they could, but the person who buys it still has to build the exact project that the town board approved before landing the zoning. Does that answer your question?
I mean, it does. I mean, I just still have some concerns about it being transferable. That's all, And I guess, Brian, we can discuss that. I don't know what your thoughts are on that.
Yeah, I mean, it's something we can discuss to put language in if that's a concern.
Yeah, I mean, Max, I know exactly what you're saying, and yeah, you're right. If it's the same plan, then what does it matter? But listen, I think our feeling as a board is that we want to make sure that it's not just the development, but we're getting someone that's a developer that's coming in that's sharing our same value set, our same what we hope to achieve there. You know what I mean? and I don't want to, you know, have it transferred into someone's hands down the road that may not have the same, you know.
Same vision that we're looking to achieve there.
Yeah. So.
Understood. And these are the type of questions and comments that we're looking to get tonight. And then, you know, based on these, the FGIS will consider those. And if we have to, and we decide that in order to mitigate those concerns and those impacts, that we have to change the law to require that the rights are conveyed to a certain applicant, you know, as long as Mr. Nugent thinks that works, then those items can be, you know, appropriately added to the zoning.
All right. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Awesome presentation.
All right, so Supervisor, do you want to open?
I want to open up the public hearing.
Public comment?
Yeah,
Well, yeah,
we
it'd
have to open up the public hearing first.
I'll second that motion to open the public hearing.
All right, let me just read it. We're going to open up the public hearing regarding the DGEIS Conservation Cluster Residential Floating Zone Text Amendment. Seconded by Councilwoman Bingham. Call the question.
Bingham, aye.
Cardone, aye.
Gancarello, aye.
Again, I
I think Rick is not on anymore.
Wait, let me see if he might be muted. Hold on, I'm going to unmute. Councilman Cologne, can you hear me?
I can hear you loud and clear. I've been following the whole thing.
All right, so are you and I on opening the public hearing?
Hello and I.
All right. All right, so Supervisor, do you want to, I can, you know, go through an order and just identify the person? Or would you, I guess it'd be easier if I handle it. Oh wait, I gotta unmute you. All right, so I'm gonna start with Jeff Manson. He is on, and I'm gonna unmute Jeff to see if he would like to say anything. Jeff, are you there? Jeff, would you like to say anything? All right, I'm gonna think Jeff is doing something else, so I'm gonna move on. Oh wait, Mark is already unmuted. Mark Town Planner. Anne Marie, I'm unmuting you. Would you like to say anything?
No, but thank you for the presentation.
Okay, thank you, Anne Marie. I'm moving on to somebody that's just identified as owner. I'm going to unmute that person, see if they would like to say anything.
Not at this time.
Okay, thank you. Michelle Dixler, you are now unmuted if you would like to say something.
No, I have nothing to say at this point.
Okay, thank you, Michelle. Lou Medina, you are unmuted if you would like to say anything.
No, but thank you.
Okay, thank you, Lou. The next one is only identified as LB. B as in boy. I'm going to unmute LB if you would like to say anything.
No.
Okay, thank you. Next up, we have V. Manastra. I'm going to unmute that person to see if they would like to say anything. V. Manastra.
Yeah, I'm the I work for Nelson Pope and Voorhees, and I helped write the draft generic environmental impact statement.
Wow, wow, and Max didn't give you any credit.
No, he didn't even like give a shout out or say thank you or Max.
Valerie was instrumental.
So Valerie was instrumental, and she's the one that really did that PowerPoint, just so you guys know. All right, thank you, Val.
I do not have any comments.
Okay, thank you. Dominic Pasculo, our dial-a-bus head driver, is on here, but I don't think he's got audio because I can't unmute him. So I'm going to move on to, I believe, is Jennifer Schnars, in case she would like to say something. Jennifer?
No, thank you.
Thank you. And then we have Jacob Bickle, who is on. Mr. Bickle, would you like to say anything?
No, thank you so much.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Bickle. My wonderful executive assistant, Shannon Daly. Shannon, would you like to say anything?
Hello, everybody.
Okay. We also have my wonderful partner, Dave McCartney, joining us because he's checking out the whole Zoom thing. So, Dave, if you'd like to say anything, you're unmuted. Wow, Dave's like, I got nothing to say. All right. Steve, would you like to say anything regarding the DGEIS? Okay, and then I have two phone numbers. So the first one I'm going to unmute is ending in 8848. So I'm going to unmute you if you would like to say anything.
No, thank you.
Okay, thank you. And the last phone number ends in 8772. Would you like to say anything regarding this?
No, thank you.
Okay, thank
What
you.
about, I don't know if Mark Etzel wanted to say anything?
Mark is already unmuted, so Mark, you could chime in at any point.
No, it was a very informative presentation from Max, and I think there's a lot of good information, some good restrictions, and look forward to working with the town on it.
All right, thank you,
Thanks,
Mark. And of course, our town clerk, I didn't ask either, but Mary Ellen, if you'd like to say anything.
No, thank you.
Okay, so Supervisor, back to you.
Okay.
Hey, do you want to try to go back to Jeff Manson, see if he's available now?
I will check. Jeff?
Looks like
Jeff
he's
Manson,
working.
are you there?
I'm here. No comment at this time. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Jeff. Thank you for
Thanks,
the wonderful video of wherever you were.
Looks like BJ's.
All right, Supervisor, we're back to you then.
Okay, anybody else on the board have anything to say at this time?
No, I have nothing else.
Okay, so what I'd like to do is to make a motion to continue the public hearing on April 6th at 7 p.m. or any time thereafter.
I'll second that motion.
Seconded by Councilman McGinn. Call the question.
Bingham, aye.
Cologne, aye.
Pardon, aye.
Mackerel, aye.
McGinn, aye.
Okay, so moved. Okay, next up, we have a general fund. Hello?
Before you move on, if you're going to extend the public hearing to April 6th, you should extend the written comment period at least through April 16th.
Okay. So I will amend that motion to, let's take a revote on this. I'll amend that motion to say the public hearing will be on April 6th with written comments, which can be submitted by April 16th.
I'll second that motion.
Okay, seconded again by Councilman McGinn. Call the question.
Bingham, aye.
Cologne, aye.
Pardon, aye.
Mackerel, aye.
McGinn, aye.
Okay, so moved. All right, next item up is the abstract of audited vouchers for the general fund. It's abstract number 20-13. The total claims for it are $77,377.65. So I will make a motion to approve that.
I'll second.
Any discussion? Call the question.
Bingham, aye.
Cologne, aye.
Pardon, aye.
Mackerel, aye.
McGinn, aye.
Okay. Now, under new business, we put out the bids for the senior center automated doors, and we received one bid. That bid was from Billman Ross and Associates in the amount of $59,977. The bid was sealed and they were returned to the town hall on March 20th. And McGooey, Hauser, and Etzel and our town clerk were there to receive the bid. The project scope involves the installation of equipment of the automation of select doors at the senior center, including hardware, electrical devices, connections, and installation of the same. The following are the outlines for the bid received. Again, it was from Billman Ross and Associates, Inc. for $59,977. We have a CDBG grant, which will cover that entire amount. And there is about $2,500 more that if there are any overages or extras that we might incur. So based on the recommendation from McGooey, Hauser, and Etzel, I would like to get a motion to approve going forward with the contract.
I'll make
I'd
a
like to
motion
make that
approve going forward.
Okay, so it's a motion made by Councilwoman Bingham, seconded by Councilman Cologne. Any other discussion?
Correct.
No other discussion? Okay,
None.
so moved. We'll take a call a question.
Bingham, aye.
Cologne, aye.
Pardon, aye.
Bankerell, aye.
McGinn, aye.
Okay, so moved. Okay, next up is we had budgeted this year for an engineering study for our highway garage, which would include the consideration for dial-a-bus. We have a payment for all the services described through our town engineer, McGooey House and Etzel, would be $12,000 plus some reimbursables. We met John Sherney, myself, Lyle Shute, and Sean from McGooey House and Etzel's office met out on site about 2 weeks ago. Got some particulars there with respect to what the needs are, where the deficiencies are, and how we could make it a lot more efficient and improve the storage areas for dial-a-bus. So I would like a motion to approve that $12,000 plus some reimbursables.
I'll make that motion.
Second for
Cologne, second.
discussion.
Okay, go ahead, Mary.
Would this qualify under CDBG in the future for possible reimbursement, since it would be a combination of the dial-a-bus and the highway?
It could possibly, well, I could tell you this, 6,000 of it would be reimbursable through dial-a-bus federal funds, I believe.
Oh, good.
And as far as the construction of it, I would have to look into it. The thing with the CDBG grants is if you go over 125,000 in any 1 year, you have to wait then 3 years to reapply.
Okay.
So, but I'll look into it, Mary. It's a really good question.
Okay.
Any other discussion on that? Call the question.
Bingham, aye.
Cologne, aye.
Pardon, aye.
Bankerell, aye.
McGinn, aye.
Okay. Okay. And just to clarify, the resolution for the Billman Ross was also to authorize me to sign it. So can somebody make another motion to authorize me to sign that?
Make a
I'll make
motion
that
to have the
motion.
supervisor sign.
I'll
Okay.
second.
Motion made by Councilwoman Bingham, seconded by Councilman McGinn. Any other discussion on that? Call the question.
Bingham, aye.
Cologne, aye.
Pardon, aye.
Bankerell, aye.
McGinn, aye.
Okay. Public comment, general.
All right, so Supervisor, I'll take over again. And now for everybody listening, this is general public comment on topics not limited to the DGEIS that we discussed earlier. I will start again in order. First with owner. I'm going to unmute owner. Do you have any comments?
No.
Okay, thank you. Anne Marie, do you have any comments?
Thank you for approving automation of the doors.
Oh, you're welcome.
Welcome.
Can you sing that in E minor, Anne Marie, please?
I could give it a try. My seniors will be thrilled, but I sincerely say thank you.
Oh, you're
Thank
welcome.
you, Anne Marie. Okay, we have Thomas Murphy, but I do not have audio on him, so I cannot unmute Thomas. Max, I assume, does not want a public comment. Jeff Manson, do you have anything to, oh wait, I lost Jeff a second there. Jeff?
Nope. No, not tonight.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Lou Medina, you're on if you have any public comment.
No, thank you.
Okay, thank you, Lou. LB, do you have any public comment?
No, thank you.
Okay, thank you, LB. Mark Edsel, I think he already spoke, but Mark, would you like to say anything?
Nothing to add.
Okay, thank you, Mark. Dominic Pasculo, I do not have audio for. Jen Snars, would you like to say anything?
No, thanks.
Okay, thank you.
Happy birthday, Jen.
Oh, happy birthday.
Yeah,
Okay, Jen. Everybody wants to say happy birthday to you.
Jen's birthday.
Happy birthday, Jen.
Don't
Thank
try
you.
to.
Locked up in her house with CJ and the kids.
Oh, boy.
Don't try to sing on these virtual meetings. They just never be together. So, all right, Jen, we're moving on. Mr. Bickle, would you like to say anything in public comment?
Hello, thank you. No, thank you. No.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Bickle. Shannon Daly, would you like to say anything?
Not at this time. Happy birthday, Jen.
Thank you. Mr. McCartney, do you have anything to say? I think Mr. McCartney fell asleep. I'm going to unmute Steve if you'd like to say anything. Okay. And phone number ending in 8848. Would you like to say anything?
No, thank you. I'm just auditing this class.
Okay, thank you very much. Michelle Dixler, would you like to say anything in public comment?
No, thank you.
Okay, thank you, Michelle. Phone number ending in 8772. Would you like to say anything?
No, thank you, Brian.
Okay, thank you very much. And then we just have Councilman Rick Colon, but he's already unmuted. So back to you, Supervisor.
Okay. Everyone's welcome to stay on. We're going to go into executive session through the telecommunications here to discuss a personnel matter, and then we will be right back.
Yeah, so Supervisor, let me just explain to everybody that the executive session here online is similar to the executive session in person. The 5 board members will be taken into a separate video conference. This conference will remain active for anybody that wants to wait. We don't expect to be too long. And then we will all come back into this main meeting room to continue the discussion. So anybody that wants to wait around can feel free to do so. And we'll be back shortly. All right, good night to Max. He's out of here. All right, I'm going to take everybody, those board members, you're going to see a invitation on your screen to go to executive session, so you can just accept that.
What about me?
Join. What about Rick?
He should get invited too, but I don't know how that works for him, so I'll figure that out when we get there. So accept your invitations, and then we'll see if we can bring him in.
So moved. Anyone have any other business to tend to?
Nope.
Nope. All right.
Supervisor, it just the resolution's in writing, so that's not an issue, but the recording hadn't been activated, so I'm just going to ask us to repeat the roll call vote on that last resolution to accept the findings and determinations of the hearing officer and to terminate the employee. So if we could just run the roll call again.
Bingham, aye.
Colon, aye.
Cardone, aye.
Scancarello, aye.
McGinn, aye.
Thank you, Supervisor. And motion carries.
Okay. All right, if there's no other business, thank everyone for being here. Appreciate it very much. We'll be doing this on April 6th, most likely. And, you know, if you have any comments and you want to email them to us, any of the council men or women or myself, I'd be happy to hear your thoughts on this type of meeting.
Good job, Brian. Nice job, man.
Yeah,
Thank you. And
Brian.
Hey, I'd
Thank
also like to thank Mayor Egan from the Village of Woodbury. I know he was on. I recognized his voice on one of those phones. He was joining because he's looking to get into this too.
yeah,
So,
Supervisor, if anybody has any particular problems or they know somebody that was having a problem, they could let us know. It would be helpful to us, you know, with this format. If there's an audio issue or they can't get, you know, the Zoom app to work online, let us know and we'll see if we can help them out. So this way, as many people as we can get have the opportunity to participate on this format for as long as we're in the COVID world.
Yes,
Okay.
okay. All right, stay safe out there. Wash your hands. Stay home.
Keep supporting those small businesses in Monroe, too, people. Doing a great job.
Exactly.
Right.
Take out.
Take out.
The
Right.
gyms will reopen. We'll all get back into shape, but let's support these small businesses.
All right, motion to adjourn.
Second.
Call the question.
Bingham, aye.
Cardone, aye.
Scancarello, aye.
Oh, Colon, aye.
We got an eye from Cologne. All right, thanks,
All
everyone.
right. Good night, everybody.
Right.
Be
Good
safe.
night.
See you
Thank
soon.
Good night, everybody.
Bye.
Thank
They
you.
will.
Good night.
Bye.